First of all, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here today, and especially on a beautiful spring day. As we've been discussing, we know that human-induced climate warming is underway and will grow worse without immediate efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. According to IPCC, global greenhouse gas emissions have risen by 70% since 1970. So all eyes are turned to solving this as an issue. And the ICT sector, in sort of its own characteristic way, is approaching this with much enthusiasm. And a result of this is that there's just an enormous amount of talk and conversation taking place right now. Just think of the last business magazine you picked up. I'm sure you either saw an article on global warming and technology or an advert from the ICT sector on this area. This is all great, but however, what we have today is 1,000 ships setting sail at the same time. The conditions are ideal. Everyone's paying attention. The sun's shining. The wind is blowing. And all these boats are getting ready to set sail, and they're picking up speed. But the question is, where are they heading? And the danger is that they might all be landing on different beaches. In reality, what this means is that the ICT companies today are really focusing a lot on getting a message out, but they're all going out with different messages. So we're creating a buzz, but we're not creating a clear message. And more importantly, the right message is not being heard outside of the tech sector. And the result is, there we go, that the ICT sector today is focused very defensively on its own carbon footprint and defending it. And this is very important. There's definitely a proliferation of technology and devices. I mean, we've seen the number of computers, cell phones, data centers increasing, and they're all leading to an increase in power demand. Just to give you an example, the number of mobile phones between 1996 and 2006 rose from 145 million to 2.7 billion. Or if we look at the energy consumed by data centers and servers and all the related infrastructure equipment, that has doubled worldwide between 2005 and 2007. And, when we see, the industry really focusing on its own global footprint, we've seen it today through the presentations or through global consortiums like the Green Grid, who are really trying to tackle the issue of data center and energy efficiencies. However, as we have all seen sort of these slides, we might want to step back for a second and really ask ourselves if what we're focusing on is really delivering the most significant reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. I mean, ultimately, right now, ICT is only contributing to 2% of CO2 emissions. And there we go. And perhaps we're missing certain other opportunities, and perhaps we should be really looking at ways where ICT or technology can contribute to productivity gains and efficiency improvement. How can we displace and improve old processes across all sectors? How can ICT fundamentally impact the 98% of total CO2 emissions stemming from other sectors? And not focusing on this aspect of ICT and the solutions it can contribute as an enabler is really a missed opportunity. Just take the example of what the World Wildlife Fund and ETNO showed last year, that if 20% of business travel within the EU is replaced by non-travel means, so technology solutions, video conferencing, audio conferencing, then by 2010, 25 million tons of CO2 could be saved annually. So the World Economic Forum believes that the ICT sector has a fundamental opportunity to increase the impact it can have on developing energy-efficient solutions. And as such, we've been working, especially since the end of last year, in collaboration with over 32 companies, over a dozen NGOs, institutions, and experts, many of them in the room here today, to sort of synthesize all the different perspectives that are out there today on the role of technology in mitigating climate change. Basically, the synthesis came down to 7 key points that all the CEOs who were actually in Davos this past January from the IT and telecom sector all unanimously approved of areas where ICT could play a major role in contributing to climate change. And so they really can be broken down into 3 big buckets, and those are, infrastructure innovation, behavioral change and green enablement, as well as energy efficiency of ICT products and solutions. And so this was, very exciting to see the entire industry, especially this past year in Davos, unanimously approve. But one of the big elements, and the slide that showed up both at the same time, the slide right before was a businessman hugging a tree. We have to realize that businesses and corporations are not tree huggers for the sake of being tree huggers. And there are many technologically feasible options today to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and more are being developed every day. However, not all are cost efficient, and businesses have to report back to their shareholders, and so they need to see an ROI when adopting these new solutions. So what we really need to work on is, finding ways to reduce or limit emissions that are the most cost efficient or that are, make economic sense. And so, based on that, the World Economic Forum this year is going to really work on taking a very practical and pragmatic approach. So the objective is to really develop a list of very specific technologies that can increase energy productivity. We will then be working with leading accounting firms and consultancies to assess the economic cost and impact of these top key solutions. The idea is being to hopefully prove a cost advantage associated with implementing these ICT solutions. We will then really work on creating a clear roadmap for the industry and a clear message. We don't want to see all these boats heading in all, yes, they're heading in a direction, but we want to make it clear to everybody where they're heading, and really provide a roadmap to other industries on how they can reduce energy usage and greenhouse gas emissions by using ICT. But I think more importantly, and this is something that we discussed a lot this morning about behavioral change, we need to create incentives for change. And companies are, just like human beings, are pack animals. And there will be no real change until, until you see somebody else really doing it. And then, when you don't always want to be the first mover. So what the World Economic Forum is planning on doing for next year, so January 2009 in Davos, is really leverage that platform to highlight those leaders across all sectors who are making a change and wanting to be those first movers using ICT to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And that is it. Thank you very much.